We're ready to roll.
Hello, people on Facebook Live. I'm so excited to have you here. We are just waiting for our, let me just get that all set up so that it's all lined up straight. But I am so excited. We're just waiting for our teleseminar people and our webcast people to join us as well. But I just want to welcome you. This is actually my first time doing a Facebook Live training. So I ask you to bear with me. I'm so excited to do this. I think this is just such a great platform to be able to share this fun, great content, but be able to share it right away. That's so neat. But I just want to welcome the people that are on our telecast. I want to welcome the people that are actually on our webcast. And I also want to ask you to be a little bit flexible with me today, because here we are, and we have a lot of new things, a lot of new sort of back-end dynamics that we are trying out for the first time. So there might be technical glitches that we haven't seen before. Again, with not only doing Facebook Live new, this is the first time that we're doing this and trying this platform out, but also the fact that we simultaneously have Facebook Live, we have our telecast people live, and then we also have our webcast people live. And so my team is managing a lot on the back end, and they're awesome, and I'm totally psyched about the fact that they're doing their thing. So I know that we're in good hands. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to, hopefully see a bunch of questions come out on Facebook Live from you, and comments and questions. And so I'll be seeing that as I'm trying to train at the same time, which can sometimes, it might throw me a little bit off of my typical focus. Oh, let's see, I'm hearing music. So I'm hoping that our teleseminar people are actually listening and hearing what I have to say, but I'm going to give them another minute or two. But again, so I just want to explain to those that are on Facebook Live, again, we have these 3 platforms that are going simultaneously. And so if I'm not always looking at the camera, it's because I'm also going to be looking at the questions that are coming up on the webcast. I might be looking at the questions, people raising their hand for the teleclass, along with the questions that are coming through on Facebook Live. So again, welcome to everybody for coming to the Overwhelm, Make Your Life Easy to Manage. I'm so thrilled that you are here with me. Again, thank you for, any patience for any of the glitches, because we have a lot of new stuff going on today with all of these different platforms running simultaneously. So we're really excited about that. And for those of you, I see that there are about, there's a few people going on right now on the call. So, feel free to send some hearts over and send some thumbs up, whatever that is for you. Hopefully you're going to learn a lot today in this program. So for those of you, first of all, I want to say again, welcome to everybody that's on Facebook Live. I just saw a little thumbs up come through. Welcome to those that are on the webcast. Welcome to those that are on the teleseminar. I am thrilled to have everybody here today. It's really awesome. We have people from literally all around the world. Oh, there was a heart. We love hearts. That's awesome, Facebook Live. But for those of you, there are some people who are from the Home and Harmony community and they know me. And then we have others that are just joining us for the first time. So I'm so psyched to have all of you guys here. I am Christa O'Leary. I'm an international best-selling Hay House author. I am an interior designer, a lifestyle curator and mentor. I am the host of the Home and Harmony Masterclass that we do annually, and I'm a featured guest on CBS, NBC, and Fox. And what I do is I help people align themselves and align their environment, make incredible environments that help them then create their best life possible, whether it be to overcome overwhelm or find success or connect with the love of their life, or whatever it is in your life that you're trying to create, sort of that big vision for you, that your home environment can help you create that. So that is what I do. And I also believe that your environment can really truly create a state of calm in the midst of chaotic living. We live in a very frenetic culture, and there's a lot going on, and a lot of people feel either overwhelm or frustration or whatever that is. But your environment can actually be what I call the recharging station for your life, and you can find the calm in the midst of the chaos of everyday living by creating an environment that supports and nurtures you. So that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today, along with the fact that if your environment is set up in a way that's not supportive and not nurturing, what can actually happen is it can have a negative impact on your life, and it can literally drain you, deplete you, and rob you of your dreams. So today we're going to talk about how to make it a recharging station and a manifestation station for your life, because that's what I want to help you with. I want you to overcome overwhelm and make your life easy to manage, because you deserve that. So the first sort of story I want to share with you it's a little off topic, and I wasn't going to have it part of this training, but I thought, you know what, it's actually a really fun story, and it will give you an idea of how powerful your environment can be as a manifestation station. And what happened was, actually back in April, my youngest and I traveled to London, and we went to go see my husband, who was working in London, and she and I, during her school vacation, decided to tour around while he was working. So one of the days, we were sitting in front of Buckingham Palace, and just out of fun, I'm looking at the palace, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, it would be so fun to have tea with the Queen. And it would be so fun to be able to decorate one of the rooms in the palace. Like, I want to be in the palace, and I want to have tea with the Queen, and I want to decorate a room, and I think all of that will be fantastic and fun. So later on that day, or later on that week, my daughter convinced me to go to Harrods, which is the big department store that's just fantastic in London. If you ever have a chance to get there, definitely go. And she's looking around for souvenirs for her buddies. And I come upon this really pretty mug. And this mug, first of all, it was gorgeous, but it also was a commemorative mug for the Queen to celebrate her 90th birthday. And I decided to get the mug, which was really funny, because I am not the type of person that does anything ticky-tacky. I don't believe in anything ticky-tacky. I actually think that ticky-tacky stuff is like, sort of souvenir mugs and that kind of thing, is just adds to clutter. So that's not my typical, the way I typically do things. But this mug was beautiful, and so I decided to pick it up. And one of the things that I did was, when I got back home, was every morning I would have tea out of my cup. And literally 1 month later, I received an email that was an invitation to go to Windsor Castle, which is actually the Queen's other castle. That's her sort of retreat castle, if you will. where, you know, that's where she spends her weekends, her holidays, is at Windsor Castle. And I had an invitation to go to Windsor Castle, and not only go to Windsor Castle, but actually stay at Windsor Castle for 4 days, for 4 nights. So I did. I went in October. I had the privilege of going to Windsor Castle and actually staying on property at Windsor Castle, which was amazing. But the point to my story is that I used my home environment. I used the things in my home environment to manifest, you know, this really fun thing in my life. And actually, as we're doing Facebook Live today, if my throat tends to get, you know, from doing so much talking, it might get a little dry. And I have my beautiful teacup right here that, you know, was my connection, my intention, and helped me manifest what I wanted to manifest in my life. So cheers to the Queen. And cheers to you for being here. I'm so excited to have you here. So anyway, the point of that was that you can set up your environment to create whatever dreams that you want to create in your life. So, you know, that's super important. And so today we're going to specifically talk about how to set up your environment to overcome overwhelm, to make your life manageable and, you know, just easy to manage, because especially, gosh, this time of year, like, we need tips on how to make things manageable. So what I would love to do now is to have you, you know, share with me some of your questions. I think it's really important, and I wanted to do this. I thought about it. Should I do this at the end or the beginning? And I actually want to do it at the beginning and have sort of a question, you know, maybe read some of the questions from the webcast, read some of the questions from Facebook Live, or, you know, wherever that is, because that will help me really, you know, target down how I'm going to teach the rest of this training today. So let me look down here. I'm going to hit refresh. Here we go. Okay, let's see. I love this. Anne says, from Massachusetts, we are repairing and redecorating our home. The kitchen is to be started soon. What I'm realizing is that we probably should have had a decorator. Oh, the entire house needs updating and renovating. Which comes first, the architect or the decorator? Well, that question really totally depends on who you talk to, a decorator or an architect. So, I think, and this is sort of off topic from the Overcome Overwhelm conversation that we're having today, and maybe this is, you know, maybe you can email my staff at support@homeandharmonydesigns.com, and you and I can jump on the phone for a brief talk. But really, I believe that as long as you have a designer who is connects the pieces of your life and what you're hoping to achieve in your life, you know, whether it's overcome overwhelm or anything along those lines, if you have a designer who can connect that piece of it so that they want to help you set up your home not only to be aesthetically beautiful, but also support you emotionally, psychologically, physically. It's really important to have that designer, you know, help bring that out and nurture those ideas and those areas, and then go to an architect and have the architect put together the pieces for you. Because the last thing you want to do is live in a house that, you know, let's say you know, a simple example would be if you have kids and the architect decides to put the office right outside where the family room is or the playroom is, and, you know, every day you need to come out and shush the kids because they're being too loud outside your office and you're trying to have conference calls. That's not going to have a harmonious end to that story. That's going to just create frustration and contention within the house. So, you know, that's just one small example of that. But so again, I think that oftentimes it's better to go with a designer, as long as the designer isn't totally about aesthetics, but is also about how are you going to use the space? How is it going to support and nurture you and your family, or, whatever you have going for you? So I hope that answered that question. And then, let's see here. We also have, my house is disorganized. The kids are so busy. I don't have time to work out. I feel like I'm holding it all together. Where do I start first? Where you start first is, well, first of all, before I get to that question, oh, well, Anne, you're so welcome. I see you on Facebook Live. Yay! Before I get to that question, those of you that are on the phone lines, what you need to do is you need to hit *2 to raise your hand so I could see your question, and I'll get to that question. So to answer this question though, my house is disorganized, the kids are so busy, I don't have time to work out, I feel like I'm not holding it together, where do I start? That is a great question, and what I'll often tell people, there are sort of my two favorite places to start, is, well, first of all, the most important place to start is in your home, because your home is your foundation. And when you get your foundation set, then it has a beautiful ripple effect out into every other area of your life. And I'll go on to explain that. So I love that question. And we're going to get to that today in the training. But again, it's my belief, how you do one thing is literally how you do everything. So it's really important to set yourself up for success by creating this really strong foundation. And it will have this beautiful ripple effect in every area of your life. So I love, love, love that. Let me just go over here and see what we have going. Let's see, do we have any hands raised? Again, hit *2 to raise your hand, and so that we can hear from you. And please don't be shy, because this is your time to have all of your questions answered, and I want to answer them. I want to help you the best way I possibly can. I'm only going to take a couple more, because then I really want to get into the actual training today. Okay, so here's another Q&A question from, okay, let's see here. Does it matter what colors I use in my house? Yes, it does matter. Your colors, and we're not going to talk about this today. That actually is, I love this question. It's actually one of my very favorite topics, and one of the things I'm best at is colors and figuring out colors for people, because colors have an impact on you psychologically, physiologically, emotionally. Literally, it impacts everything. And the best example I can give is the color red actually makes you hungry. And so if you're trying to lose weight, red is a color that you probably don't want in your house. But again, it impacts you psychologically and physically. Literally, physically, the color red makes you hungry. And that's why if you go into a lot of the chain restaurants, you'll notice that they're either, the colors that they typically incorporate are either red, think of McDonald's, Chipotle, let's see, Friendly's, I'm trying to think of a Chili's, like there are so many of them that have the red component. So yes, color's huge, and we'll have to get to that at another point in time. So I think that is, let's start to dive into this training today, so that I really set you up for success. Again, feel free to hit *2. Let's just see if we have any *2s right now. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, but that's okay. We will, we'll see if maybe we have time to fit that in at some point. So let me give you a little bit about my background, so you know why I think our environments are so critical. I actually have a graduate degree in psychology. And from the beginning, I had just this desire around understanding what made some people happy and others not so happy. And so I had that passion. And then I also had a passion around our home environments. Just naturally, I loved design, architecture, paintings, decorating, all of that. Like, I just had a passion for it. So when I started out my graduate studies, went on to practice, but then we began to have a family, and I stepped back from having my psychological patients, and instead started to focus on creating beautiful environments for people. And it was interesting because what I realized after a very short amount of time was that my clients, my design clients, were having these amazing, incredible shifts in their lives. Like more so than I ever had when somebody was sitting across from me on a couch telling me what their issues were, and we would talk through the issues, give ideas and feedback, and then they would go back into their regular lives and things would just stay the same. And so what happened was, when I went into their home environments and began to really, I mean, as a designer, like you become part of the family. Like you get to know like the ins and outs of somebody's lives and what their hopes and their dreams are. And so I'd go into these homes and I'd learn about the families. I'd learn about what was working and what wasn't working. And I just intuitively began to set up these environments to really support and nurture the family. And all of a sudden, they just had these incredible shifts in their lives. It was just beautiful to watch. And it was shocking too, because again, being Western educated in psychology, it didn't totally make sense to me. Like, what was this? So what I decided to do was, again, because I'm Western educated and have a graduate degree and know how to do studies. I mean, and when you're in graduate school, you're doing a lot of studies. And so I decided to do what I call a blind study. So I decided to do something within my own home to see what the deal was with the connection between a person's home environment and their well-being, and a person's home environment, and whether or not they could truly manifest whatever it was that they were trying to create, their goals and aspirations for their life, that big vision, if you will. So at the same time, we were actually moving, my husband and I were moving from our first home that we had built to our second home that we considered really our dream home. We were moving there with 3 kids, 3 years old and younger. And so we get into this big, beautiful house, and we have these 3 kids, and you know, we're actually very young at the time. And we stopped doing a lot of the things that we love to do. And as a young couple, one of the things that we absolutely love to do is we would travel all the time. And it was actually a joke in our first neighborhood. They would call us the renters. And the reason they would call it, even though we owned the home, they would call us the renters because we were always off. Either, you know, in the winter time, we would go to these beautiful mountains and we would be, you know, skiing in these incredible spots, or in the summer times, we would go down to my family's beach house on the water, or in, you know, during the rest of the year, my husband had all of these trips all around the world, and I would just go with him. But as you can imagine, 3 kids under 3 years old, travel is not quite as easy anymore. And then we also lived in this big house, and all of the things that go along, you know, whether it's trying to fill the house with furniture, or trying to take care of the house, trying to take care of the yard, all of that stuff. We were basically what you call housebroke. So we couldn't afford to go on these big vacations anymore. So I decided to do this experiment because that was an important piece of my life that I envisioned that's what I envisioned doing in my life. I was a traveler. I was an adventurer. I wanted to go see exotic places and stay in beautiful hotels, and that's part of who I am. And so I had set up our home, you know, very beautifully, because I knew how important the home environment was. So the main living areas were, you know, beautifully done. But there was a section of the house that was kind of far away from everything else, and there were French doors that you could close. And so we purposefully put our artwork in there, and like boxes that we hadn't gotten to yet. And even though it was like organized, it still was sort of a storage area. And when I realized, as I assessed the situation, that was probably the block to allow us to live the life that I wanted us to live. It was blocking us. So again, I decided to do this experiment, not share it with my husband, who would probably say his typical line of, I don't know exactly what you do, but I believe in you. I decided to make it completely just like a blind experiment. So I cleaned up that area, hung art on walls, even if they weren't in the perfect places, at least they were up, cleared that out, made it into something beautiful. Actually even built my husband one of those beautiful tall ships. And to me, that tall ship represented traveling around to far off distant lands on romantic journeys together. So I did all of that. And again, within days, I mean, I don't even think it was a whole week, I get this call. My husband's at work. I get this call from my husband and he says, "Hun, I have a surprise for you. I have to go to France and I have a business trip in France. And I'm so excited because I am going to, I have arranged for you to come meet me for a long weekend in Paris, and I've even arranged babysitting for the kids." So he had no idea what I was doing in our home. He had no idea. And all of a sudden, my experiment actually came to fruition. So it amazed me that how, not only that it happened, but that it happened so quickly. I mean, it happened so rapidly. It's like the coffee cup experiment, or not even experiment, but what I did with the coffee cup. Like that, again, I mean, I don't know anybody who's associated with the Queen of England, but yet within weeks, I have an invitation to go to the castle. So I just share that story with you because I want you to understand what a profound impact your environment can have on your life. From your overall state of well-being to being able to manifest, peace and happiness, abundance, the love of your life, whatever that is for you, your environment can actually create that for you. So I share that because I want you to know that it is possible for you. It's absolutely possible for you. And, if I were to tell you, that this could happen in your life, my question for you is, like, are you willing, are you willing to take the chance to do it? Are you willing to step up and try it, And I assume the answer is that, yeah, absolutely. I'd be absolutely crazy not to. And there's a quote that I actually love from W.C. Stone, and I'm going to read this quote because otherwise I definitely wouldn't get it right. But you are a product of your environment. So choose the environment that will best develop you towards your objective. Analyze your life in terms of its environment. Are the things around you helping you towards success, or are they holding you back? Have you ever thought about what it would be like to, wake up in the morning and be excited for the day, not feel overwhelmed, but be enthusiastic and feeling joyful, or walking through your door at the end of the day saying, this feels so good. I am so thankful to be home. I love my space. Everything about my space feels so good. And wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to walk through life knowing that no matter what the stresses are that come your way, you are so grounded in your environment, in who you are, that it doesn't matter what the whirl and swirl is around you. And I share this with you because, a great example of that is walking down the streets of New York City, right? Think about the energy there. It's frenetic. There's so much energy and there's so much swirl, there's so much whirl. But despite the swirl and whirl, if you stay grounded as you take your steps down the road, that swirl and whirl doesn't impact you. And I share that because that's how your life can be, that no matter what that swirl and whirl is for you, you can still stay grounded. And the best way that I know how to do that is to create an environment that's supportive and nurturing so that you can... Oh, did that work? Oh, sorry. I thought I turned off all ability for phone calls, but apparently I didn't. So hopefully that didn't disrupt our Facebook Live, and I do apologize for that. But so let me give you another great example of how our environments impact us. Like I said before, your environment literally has an impact on your psychological well-being, your emotional well-being, and the best example I can use, and I was thinking about this the other day, and it makes me laugh because, we have 4 teenagers in our house right now. It's the typical teenager. So I want you to think about a mom that you know that has a teenager, or maybe you are that mom that has a teenager, or maybe you were the child who had a mom had a mom that was maybe telling you this sentiment. But I think we've all heard the sentiment that with a teenager where a mom says, it looks like a bomb went off in your room because the room is it's a disaster, it's a mess. I mean, it's a constant we're constantly learning in our house. We still are constantly learning how to manage the teenage chaos in their room. So but the best thing is, this is such a great example, because if you think about what's going on for a teenager inside their brains, right? They have so much. Their hormones are swirling. They're dealing with social stuff. They're dealing with differentiating with their parents and like trying to figure out like, how do you go out into the world and be your own person, but you still kind of want mom and dad to help? Like, how do you deal with all of that? How do you deal with the stresses of school? And gosh, in today's day and age, with the amount of pressure that's on these kids to like perform in extracurricular things, like they have so much going on that the visual that comes to my mind is like there's like a whirling dervish in their brains. There's a whirling dervish in their heads, and that whirling dervish gets out from their heads and whips around their rooms, and it's like a bomb went off, right? So I use that example because it's an extreme example, but it's the same thing for grown-ups. It's the same thing for everybody. What is going on internally for you is reflected in your outward environment, because again, how we do one thing is how we do everything. If you have one area of your life where things are off, probably that thing that's off is going to be off in other areas. It's that whole ripple effect that happens. So that's really important. And so one of the reasons I'm sharing that is because if you are feeling overwhelmed, and I'm assuming that if you're on this training, you're probably feeling slightly overwhelmed, it's going to show up in your environment somehow. And the best part of that, the fact that it will show up in your environment, is sometimes it will show up in your environment before you even get to that place where you're like having trouble breathing, you're having trouble functioning. And a great example in my life, I run this business that's multifaceted, and one of the verticals in our business, we have our interior design vertical, both residential and commercial. We have our staging vertical. We stage homes for realtors, and then we have this lifestyle vertical where we do these types of trainings. And in the design vertical, I always love to say yes to people. I always love to say, absolutely, I'll do your home. However, sometimes I'll take on too many projects. So my team helps me determine how many projects we can take on at a time. But what I know is that when I've taken on one too many, that all of a sudden things start to pile up, especially in my office environment. Because if you think of a design project, you think about all the samples that you need, whether it's carpet samples and tile samples and faucet samples with the different types of metal, like all of that stuff can start to pile up. So if all of a sudden my environment's starting to get a little bit overwhelmed with stuff, then probably what's going on for me is on the inside, there's an overwhelm of stuff. And again, my support staff knows that all of a sudden, if my emails are out of control, it's probably because I'm overwhelmed. And then there's too much stuff in my inbox. You know, another great example is actually my husband. I can tell when he's overwhelmed before he even knows that he's overwhelmed. And the reason is that he will leave a few things unfinished. And it's as simple as in the morning time when he grabs his workout gear, you know, he gets up at 5 in the morning to go work out, he'll grab his workout gear, and he might open his workout stuff, his t-shirt drawer, let's say, to here, and then he only shuts it to here, and he leaves this much space open. But to me, that's unfinished business when you have, you leave it open by an inch. And so I know that's a cue, and you can use your environment as a cue that says your life is either functioning and flowing gracefully or something's a little bit off. And so it's a great barometer to tell you, okay, time to slow down, time to take a deep breath, and time to adjust your environment so that it's a cue for positive things in your life. Because that's the important piece to that is, again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if your inner space is overwhelmed and full, and it's going to be reflected in your environment, then why don't we start by changing the environment, shifting the environment, so then it will have a positive impact on what's going on for you internally. So that is really, really key. And part of that is, this is a great example of how much our environments impact us. And again, has that ripple effect. If you think about your office space, if you have an office space, or whatever the space is where you try to get work done, or you try to be creative, or wherever that is for you, if part of your environment has, let's say, clutter, part of your brain is focused on that clutter. It's distracted by that clutter. So that means that part of your brain, 50% of your brain is only able to focus on the tasks that are in front of you. So that might mean that you are not, completely able to be as creative as you want to be. You're not able to be as productive as you want to be because part of your brain is focused on this other stuff that's going on in your environment. And this is especially true for women. We're literally, as human beings, from a psychological perspective, we're wired that way. We can't help it. And it literally doesn't matter. Like, your home can be that way, and you can walk, take a walk or drive in the car and maybe actually go to an office or a business, where you work far away. Part of your brain is still connected to that stuff that's going on in your environment. So that's why it has such a profound impact on all areas of your life. Because again, if you're trying to be creative at your desk, or you're trying to be productive at your desk, and you're only able to use 50% of your brain power, then are you getting the job done that you need to get done? Are you being as creative as you could be? Is that then impacting the position that you have at work? Is it then impacting the abundance that you have in your life? Is it impacting your relationships because you're frustrated? Again, it literally is like this crazy ripple effect. And so it's so important to understand how much impact your home environment has on your not only your well-being, but it has an impact on every area of your life. And I love this. Michelle, hi on Facebook. I love that. She says, it's like you're reading my mind, LOL. Awesome. I'm so glad that my phone situation, but apparently I did not. But anyway, so let me give you a great example of this very successful entrepreneur / realtor that I worked with. And she was awesome. But she came to me for a number of reasons. She wanted to take her business to the next level because she felt like all of a sudden she sort of got to this level and then she was blocked, and she wanted to like move forward, and she wasn't able to kind of get beyond whatever was like keeping her stuck. And then she was also feeling completely overwhelmed because she didn't have like the friendships that she wanted. She really wanted to love in her life. She didn't have any of that stuff. So I went into her life and I assessed things, and I used what I call the H.O.M.E method with her. And again, we sort of assessed where she was, where she wanted to be, and how could we adjust things in her environment to help her manifest those things that she wanted to create in her life. And her space was actually beautiful. Her mom, believe it or not, was an interior designer. So her space was beautiful, but it just wasn't supporting her the way, it wasn't supporting her goals and visions for her life. So we literally just did like teeny tiny tweaks. It was, sometimes I'll go into a space and we need to paint walls and we need to buy different furniture, and, we do a complete overhaul. I mean, we did a business a couple of years ago in Connecticut, and we literally gutted the entire place and started from scratch, right? So that's one extreme. This, however, was just, I gave her some simple manageable tasks like, go buy some pots and pans. I want you to get some pretty plates, and let's adjust this, the furniture in your space in such a way that your mom doesn't get upset with the other designer that came in, but it creates a really welcoming and supportive environment for you. So we did that. And again, within weeks, I mean, literally it was like a week or two later. I think it was a week or two later on the first news, and then probably 2 weeks beyond that for the second set of news. So the first set of news, she called me in tears, and she's like, Christa, you're not going to believe this. I ended up having the confidence to have a dinner party at my house, and I invited friends that I had not seen in years. And so like she was so joyful and so excited, and you could just feel like her passion was reignited, right? And then a couple weeks later, she called me again to say, you're not going to believe it. Like, I met this crazy, incredible guy who I think could be the one. And so there was like all this joy and all this excitement, and all of a sudden her life wasn't solely about work, and she wasn't solely getting overwhelmed with only working and not having any playtime and not having that balance that one needs so that you don't go into a state of overwhelm. And so what ended up happening that was so beautiful was, because everything was perfectly in balance, all of a sudden her business literally exploded to the next level. So I share this with you because I want you again to know what is possible for you, and that it's easy. Like, buying a few pots and pans and some plates and rearranging some furniture, like, that's easy stuff. I mean, if it's actually going to make your life so much better, like, why wouldn't you do it? So my hope is that by the end of this presentation, I will, give you, the steps necessary to begin to live that life, the life of your dreams, and to utilize the H.O.M.E method to really truly transform your life. And so it's all about really truly learning, about the H.O.M.E method. So you're probably saying, well, what is this H.O.M.E method, girlfriend? Well, the H.O.M.E method is literally a simple system. If you're part of the H.O.M.E and Harmony community, you know that I am all about simple solutions. And I say that again as a mother of four, CEO of a booming business, somebody that's in charge of our household. I have a lot going on. So I know if things are not simple, they're not going to happen. Like, I'm not going to implement something that's difficult. It's just not going to happen. I need things that are simple. So that's my goal for you, is to always give you simple solutions to help you create that life of your dreams. So the H.O.M.E method is all about It's really a simple system that just tweaks things in your environment so it reflects your dreams and goals and allows you to really realign that environment so that it matches the vision for your life. That's it. It's super simple. And why is this so important? Because it helps you find strength. It reignites whatever that spark is. It helps you find calm in the midst of chaos. It helps you release the overwhelm. It helps you get your to-do list done with ease and grace. It allows you to be more creative. It allows you to find the love of your life. It allows all of those things, you know, financial abundance, being able to travel the world, all of those examples that I've shared, whatever it is that you want to realize in your life, whatever it is that you want to create in your life, it allows you to do that. How awesome is that? So really, it's just about understanding that your environment is the foundation for all of your life. It's the foundation to make your dreams come true. So the first thing is understanding that your environment is your recharging station. And I always use this example of when you're walking through the door, and I want you to take a moment to think about the last time you walked through your door and how it made you feel. Did it make you feel good? Or were you sort of like, ugh? Because you either walk through your door and you say, I'm home. Or you walk through your door and you think, the clutter in the corner, the light bulb that needs to be changed, and that drains your energy. So you need it to be literally what I call the docking station. Like think of your iPhone or your smartphone and you have a docking station that recharges it. Your home is the same thing. And it's also your manifestation station. As I said, like you need to align your environment with what your goals are, and then that's when the magic happens. It's awesome. And you can create anything you want to in your life. So let me give you a quick example because I know we're starting to run out of time. I had like so many examples to share with you, but we're running out of time. So I have this awesome client who I absolutely love. He is a high-powered executive. We'll call him Adam today. Adam initially contacted me and I did initial walkthrough of his house, and he was super, super successful, but there were areas in his life that were starting to kind of really not work well for him anymore. And because those areas weren't working well for him anymore, even the success that he was having in his business was it was deteriorating a little. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he was doing awesome in comparison to a lot of our culture. But for him, things were starting to deteriorate. And so he was like, I don't want that to deteriorate and I need to shift these other things in my life. Like, what do we do? And his big thing was, and again, I think it's because he was so successful, that he was an eligible bachelor. You know, he's a very handsome man, very eloquent, very successful. And so he would have these women that sort of just came in and out of his life. But it was all because he was an eligible bachelor, and no one actually, he didn't stay with anybody because there wasn't there wasn't anything deep there. And that's what he wanted. He wanted a deep relationship. And he actually also in his business, he wanted to start to get away from just accepting any clients, and he wanted clients that were really more aligned with who he was and who he was becoming. So we talked all about that vision, and we walked him through the H.O.M.E method. And so the first step was to help him gain clarity about what it was that he was really trying to create in his life, you know, and assess his home, assess his habits, assess all of those different areas that were either in alignment or out of alignment with who he was hoping to become. The next step was to get really clear on his intentions for his life and his ideal vision and what he was hoping to create. And then the third step was to create easy and manageable action steps for him. He was actually one of my private clients as well. So I actually went through his house and did a lot of stuff for him. But I also think and believe that it's important for a person to take easy action steps, because it's like you're putting that intention out there and you're actually working for it and showing up and telling the universe, like, I really want this in my life and I'm willing to do these things to make it happen. So again, we created these action steps for him, and he began to implement those things. And the last thing was really helping him to step into his power, align his environment, to help him manifest the dreams, and be that accountability piece that made sure that he did the follow through. So those are literally the 4 steps of the H.O.M.E method. And it was awesome because in just a few months, literally just a few months, he ended up meeting up with somebody who he had known from years past, like I think his childhood or something. And they ended up falling in love. They ended up getting married, and they've been happily married for years at this point, which is awesome. It's just incredible. And then on top of it, because again, balance started to come into his life, his business exploded to the next level. But it wasn't just with any old clients. It was clients that really aligned with who he was and where he saw his life going. So that it was like this overall incredible thing that was happening to him. So, you know, again, he just had such success, and I wish that I could share, you know, I have story after story after story, and I would love to share all the stories, and maybe we'll do a follow-up call so that you can hear more of these stories, because it's so important to understand that, you know, I've been doing this for, I think, 17 years at this point. I've been doing this for 17 years, and I do it because I love it, because I love to watch the changes that actually happen with my clients. I mean, it's so fulfilling, it's so rewarding, and it's awe-inspiring, because it still amazes me every day when I'm helping these people and then their dreams are being realized. Like, that's pretty cool, right? So I'm so excited that he had success, and the realtor person I shared with you had success, and all the others have had success. And so I ask you, are you ready to have success in your life? Are you ready to overcome that overwhelm and tame that tension and, you know, manifest your ideal life? Are you ready for that? And I hope your answer is yes. And here's what I'd like to do. I'd actually like to share with you this new program that we actually have created. We typically run, 12-month programs. And what I decided was, because I had a lot of questions around the H.O.M.E method, like people that have read my book, H.O.M.E in Harmony, Designing an Inspired Life, you can get it on Amazon, but people that have read my book, H.O.M.E in Harmony, Designing an Inspired Life, want a little bit more in-depth understanding of how to put the H.O.M.E method to use in their life. And so what we did was, out of the 12-month program, we pulled this piece out to share. And so this is a totally new thing. We haven't done anything like this before. It's going to be it's a 4-week program that is designed to teach the H.O.M.E method. And it's called the 4-week Overcome Overwhelm program, Make Your Life Easy to Manage. And it utilizes the super simple H.O.M.E method. And so I'm thrilled. It's going to give you, it will give you the trainings, it will give you the accountability, it will give you crazy tools, it will give you all sorts of fun stuff. And we wrapped it up in this 4-week simple program to help you create the success that you are hoping to achieve in your life, based on, you know, tweaking your home environment to make sure that it is setting you up for success. It is the strong foundation so that you can build the life that you really want to build, that's so important. So first of all, who is this not for? It is not for people who tend to be really negative. It's not for the Debbie Downers. It's not for people who coaches are sort of uncoachable. The coaches are always wrong. And it's not for people who are unwilling to step up. It's not for people who like to complain. And it's not for people who like drama, because I have 4 teenagers. We don't want drama. So that's who it's not for. But this is who it is for. So if this is calling to you, that would be so awesome. It's for anybody who's interested in getting that spark back. It's interested in those of you who want to overcome the overwhelm, who want to find the calm in the midst of the chaos despite our frenetic culture. It's for you if you want to find abundance or love or want to travel the world. It's for you if you want to design your best life. So the 4 week, we did, everything's very purposeful here at Home and Harmony. So what we did was we decided to begin the program in January. And I did that purposefully because, you know, this season can be very frenetic. You know, the holidays, all of that can be very frenetic. So let's start in January so that you can begin the year with clear intentions, a clear strategy on how to make the most of the upcoming year, and help you release all of that overwhelm and, you know, maybe frustration and stress that you had experienced during the holidays. So what will you get with the H.O.M.E method, the 4-week Overcome Overwhelm training that begins in January? And I'm going to read this because I know otherwise I will, because my team and I are always going back and forth, adding things. So the first thing you'll get is you'll get 4 1-hour group calls. They're weekly calls. So what we do is I'll give a training, we'll be able to have some Q&A, and then you'll be able to go implement, because I find that's the easiest thing. You do a call, give time to implement, come back together, discuss what worked, what didn't work, let's tweak it, have some more training, have some more Q&A, go out and try to, you know, implement, and then come back together. So we keep doing that so that it really, really works. The next thing is you get motivational PDFs to help you keep yourself organized, inspired, and on track. That's huge. Then you also get an interior alignment assessment tool to help you assess where you are now, get clarity on where you want to be so that you can align your home with your vision of, you know, your best life. And then you will also get a 20-minute private follow-up call with me to tie all the pieces together and make sure that this next year is really a successful year for you. So my team broke out the pricing for that. So the 4 50-minute or 4 1-hour calls have a retail value of actually $800. The motivational PDFs have a retail value of $50. The interior assessment tools and mentoring have a retail value of $527, and the 20-minute private call has a retail value of $350. So the total retail value is $1,727. But I really want to make this easy for you. Again, this is a new program. We're really, really excited about it. So for a very short time, we are going to actually offer it for $197. That's right. Retail value is $1,727, and we are going to offer it for $197. And the regular price for this is actually going to be $997. So you are actually going to save $800 by joining today. So go to www.christaoleary.com/overcome overwhelm program. Again, www.christaoleary.com/overcome overwhelm program, so that you can get the $197 price and join me for the 4-week Overcome Overwhelm program that begins in January. And what I'm going to actually do to make this easy so you don't have to stress about it is I'm going to give you my personal get results guarantee, which is if it for some crazy reason doesn't work for you, I'll send you through the program again. So again, it's $197 go to www.christaoleary.com/overcome overwhelm program so that you can get your 4-week Overcome Overwhelm program. And I'm going to throw in a bonus today. And again, this is my team is so cute. It's Christmas, it's holiday season time. There's, a lot of holidays, a lot of giving, and I like to be generous. So one of the bonuses there's going to be 2 bonuses, but this bonus is a gift certificate for $197 to be used on any H.O.M.E and Harmony 12-month group or private coaching program, which basically means that the program's $197. I'm giving you a gift certificate for $197 for any of the H.O.M.E and Harmony 12-month programs. So basically you get to have this course for free. I'm gifting it to you. I've paid for it. So again, go to christaoleary.com/overcome overwhelm program. And you will get your 4 1-hour calls, group calls with simple and easy to follow solutions based on the H.O.M.E method. You'll get motivational PDFs to keep you organized, on track, inspired. You'll get your interior assessment tool to help you gain clarity, help you align your home and your vision. And then you'll get a private follow-up call with me to tie it all together. And the special bonus for the first 5 people to register today, this is a very special bonus, and I'm actually reading this off the thing here. You will get an additional 20-minute private coaching call with me to be used at any time between now and the next 6 months. So you get an additional 20-minute private coaching call with me. So this is your last opportunity to get all of the bonuses, and that is go to christaoleary.com/overcome overwhelm program. So I'll leave you with this. There are times in your life when opportunities come knocking at your door, and you can turn and walk towards those opportunities and walk through the door, or you can stay stuck on the outside. And I'm hoping, especially given this time of year, if you look back, over the past year and you haven't maybe created everything that you would hope to create this past year, that you will take the opportunity to walk through this door to see what is on the other side, so that you don't stay stuck where you are and how you've done it from now, forever. And as Helen Keller said, when one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has opened for us. So I am opening the door, and I'm inviting you to join me to walk through this journey with you so that you can create the life that you have dreamed about. So go to www.christaoleary.com/overcome overwhelm program. And I look forward to seeing you in January.